Now I can see it. You can barely see it. It's like illusion. And that's a tornado. Oh, weird. It looks like lightning. Oh, that's wild. Oh my god, I have to redo this video again. Because... And I accidentally deleted the template. So I guess I'll redo it. And put it on the template dilly bobber of the video. But I had this stupid thing. I'm not going to return it. It was only $9. But I like it, but every time I do a video, I'll have to take it off. And even when I have that down, like this down right there, yeah, I can tell people still have a hard time hearing me, you know? I mean, I don't understand. It's not designed very well. Because the microphones are right there. Or, you know, like right there. Wait, right there. Yeah, so it's stupid, man. So I have to redo this video. But anyway, so the first video, the first experience, I was, and that was like a couple, that was around January 13th. And yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, in real life, I had, I was going to go to the ATM machine in real life. And there was a Loomis truck and 5 other cars behind him. So I thought, well, screw that. I'm not going to wait, you know. So then I went to go get Crickets, which was just 100 yards away at a building. And then I came back and the Loomis truck was still there, dicking around with the ATM machine. And there was still 5 cars behind him. So I thought, well, I'm not going to wait. So I drove slowly back behind the alleyway. I drove really slowly, like I started looking at him, you know. Because I was like, wow, you know, because I never really, I've seen the Loomis guy truck there before, but I never actually stared at him. And so I started driving real slowly. And then I started staring at him. And he had about a 14-inch wad of $20 bills all stacked up he was holding. Because, you know, that's all they stack the machine with is $20 bills. But I was driving by like really slowly. So he probably thought I was going to shoot him or something. But yeah, that was kind of cool. But I guess it must take a long time. But then, of course, it didn't really... Well, actually, when I drove up, I think he was just getting there. As far as I remember, he was just getting there. I think, as far as I remember. And, you know, of course, the Pet's Way or whatever, it was just, you know, 100 yards away. That just took me a couple minutes, you know. But then I came back and he was still there, you know, which not too much time had passed by or whatever, but I wasn't going to wait, you know, because he wasn't even, you know, close to being done yet, looked like. And then there were still 5 other cars behind him. So, yeah, so I went ahead and just went and, you know, like did my shopping or whatever and used my credit cards or whatever. But yeah, I just kind of like want to use cash sometimes because I don't, you know, it seems like you spend more if you try to use, you know, the credit cards since it's not cash or whatever. But yeah, so under this OBE-vr at Lucid Dream, it was like a day later, the next morning, that I had this experience. And so basically it started out under this altered state. It started out, I was in that exact same, you know, bank standing around. My car was there and I was outside of my car standing around, and the workers, the female workers, the tellers, they weren't working behind the glass, and they closed that function down a long time ago, about a year or two ago. You can't even go through the drive-through anymore. You have to go inside or whatever. But in the scenario, the tellers were working right up at the poles. You know, the poles or whatever it's called, where the little plastic things shoots down the chute. it was like 3 or 4 women, you know, working at all those poles, and they were just standing there. They were working outside. It's like that's how they were working the job, you know, as a teller, just standing there by the poles. And I was standing there next to, you know, like next to the ATM machine, right there by the pole where the first woman was at, the first teller. And she, well, she just looked about probably like 30 or something like that. And two, it was like me and my sister, we just came back from the movie theater, and but that wasn't part of the scenario. That was just the, you know, part of the story. That was just the, you know, it was programmed like that, but it wasn't programmed where we actually went to the movie theater, blah 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 blah. But me and Chrissy, we just came back from the movie theater, and I decided to go to the ATM. But I was by myself and everything, and then after I got done, like getting my money at the ATM machine, a friend of mine like started driving up in his big old truck, and he said, well, let's go to the movies in about an hour or whatever, and I was like, well, okay. And at one point, after I got my money and everything, I drove off, you know, round down the street, and I saw his truck like pull over that way, and I thought to myself, well, I think what I was gonna do is go home first for a little bit and then go to the movie theater, but he pulled off over there, and I thought, well, he's gonna think I'm stalking him or something, you know, because he said let's meet up back in an hour or something like that at the movie theater, and that was all part of the scenario. And I saw his truck, you know, as I pulled out, I saw his truck and everything, but you know, it wasn't part of the scenario as far as the movie theater and stuff. Oh no! I remember I remember the first part. What I meant to say was me and my sister just came back from like a restaurant or something, and after the restaurant, after we ate and everything, I wanted to go to the ATM, and that's why I went to the ATM. The second part was the movie theater part with that Mel guy and the old truck. But the first part of the scenario was, it was like me and my sister just got back from a restaurant. Yeah, no, I got confused. No, not the movie theater, the restaurant. And then she went on and did her own thing, and then I happened to go to the ATM. And that was all part of the story. Okay, so as I was standing there, and it was a sunny day, and let's see, let me see if I see what time it was. Yeah, it was probably about, it seemed like it was about, I don't know, like maybe 6 p.m. And yeah, and so I proceeded to like when I was standing there at the ATM, and this is the first part basically. As I was standing there at the ATM, I got like $40 out, you know, two $20 bills, you know, because that's why the aliens programmed it like that, because they know only $20 bills goes in that, you know, in the ATM. And so I got like two $20 bills, and I was holding it in my hand, and I gave it to the teller, which I don't know why that part didn't really make sense, I guess. So I gave the money to the teller, and maybe she was supposed to give me some change back or something, I don't know. And she held up a $20 bill, and she's like, it's counterfeit, this is fake and phony. And I'm thinking, at first I was thinking in my head, how could it be counterfeit? And when I looked at it, when I looked at the money, you could tell, like, the aliens have a way of, you know, being very, very, like, what do you call it? It was very, what's that word? Not clear, what's that word? But anyway, it was very clear, like when I started staring at the $20 bill, I could tell that it looked very fake. It did look very fake and phony. But then I started yelling back at her, like how could I be passing around that counterfeit bill, you know, when it came from your ATM machine, you know, because it came from their ATM machine, so they're the ones passing around counterfeit bills, not me. But yeah, I mean, like when I saw the money at a distance, you know, she was about 5 feet away, and she showed it up. I mean, she like showed it to me, and I was like looking at it, you know, and I saw every detail. Yeah, like they have a way of making me like see, you know, every little detail, and I could look at the money like real closely, and I could tell it looked really fake and phony looking. And but yeah, so that scenario was kind of funny. And like I say, I had that scenario just the next morning after I had already been through the ATM in real life and stuff. But yeah, so that was kind of funny because, you know, like she was accusing me of passing around, and when she accused me of that, you know, passing around the phony the phony the phony money, I started having thoughts in my head like, you know, well, I went to Price Cutter and stuff, but I'm thinking, but I hadn't even been there, or you know, I hadn't even like went there yet lately. You know what I mean? I was thinking, you know, that's a store in my head. I was thinking that's a store that I went to a lot, but I knew I hadn't even been there yet. So there's no way, you know, I was thinking in my head, there's no way that they could have gave it to me. I mean, because I had just got the money at the ATM, you know, the two $20 bills. I had just got it for, you know, at the ATM, and then she was accusing me of passing around, you know, like counterfeit, and then I started yelling back at her like, how could it be counterfeit, you know, when I got it from your ATM machine? And I started yelling at her and stuff. But anyway, so that's kind of funny. And then, like I say, we were there. It's like part of the story was, it was like me and my sister just went and ate, and I went to the ATM, and then like the other guy drove up in his big old truck, and we were going to go to the movies in about an hour, or in about an hour after we, you know, or after I got the money and everything. And then, like I said, I started driving down the road after the ATM, and I saw his truck pull over that way, and I kept thinking in my head, he's gonna think that I'm stalking him or something. But anyway, that was kind of weird. And then the scenario was over with. This scenario, I would say it still lasted 3 hours or longer, it seemed like. But it wasn't just super long, like most of my scenarios. But, okay, so the second scenario was a blast, man. It was a total blast. And I had just been watching that lecture on David Icke, and his lecture, that 9-hour lecture, because I hadn't watched it in a long time. And he was talking about Hitler and Germany, and how like America and Britain like concocted that purity race agenda or whatever. And so I did have Germany on the brain and everything. And I actually did ask for this experience. I was giving the aliens ideas like where they could take me, because they've taken me to like so many places. You know, Russia. They've taken me to Russia, and I don't know how the hell they came up with that town, Osa, Russia. I never heard that town in my life. And they put me in this, and I looked it up, and it actually existed, Osa, Russia. They took me to Russia, and when I was in Russia, it felt like Russia. And when I was in Romania, it felt like Romania. The energy felt like Romania. When I was in England 5-6 different times, you know, it felt like England. And they've taken me like to West Virginia, and it felt like West Virginia or whatever. And then they've taken me to millions of other places too. But in this scenario, they actually took me to Germany, and I actually asked for this experience. I was like trying to give them ideas, and I was like, yeah, take me to I was naming off some places. I was naming off Germany, and I can't remember what else, but that was one of the countries that I named off, because, you know, they've never taken me to Germany before under Altered State. Well, actually, they probably have, you know, 40 years ago or something, and I can't remember. But yeah, so they took me to, you know, so they paid attention to me, and they took me to Germany, to Germany. Okay, and this is how it started. I was basically, it was the hostesses, a man and a woman. It was kind of like a bed and breakfast, but the aliens didn't tell me that it was a bed and breakfast. But that's what it was kind of like. They didn't actually tell me that. It was kind of like a bed and breakfast, aka, you know, house where the hostess, the man and woman, they were a married couple. You know, they were, you know, housing people there that were, you know, that wanted to come to the countryside for vacation, you know, in Germany. And so they were basically the hostess, you know, the man and woman, and they looked about 58. And you know, the aliens never did really make me see them very clearly. So I can't really remember exactly what they looked like, but they looked about 58 or 59 or 60 or whatever. And they had a little odd little boy, but I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, it was me, and then of course the man and woman, the hostess. And it was like a boy, and I think there was another boy roaming around, another son or whatever. I'm pretty sure that there was like a thinner boy, but and then there were about, oh my God, there were about, I would say about 6 to 7 other people, like about 50% men, 50% women, and they were all about, 40s or early 50s, and they basically were there, because they were there just like the reason why I was there, on vacation in the countryside. And so basically it started out, I was just walking around this old, solid, very sturdy, solid house in the countryside of Germany. And of course, well, after I woke up, I realized, wow, we actually were on a mountain. We were on a big, big mountain. Or that's where the house was, on a pretty big mountain. Of course, I didn't really have those thoughts in the scenario, but after I woke up, I realized, that we were on a mountain, basically. But anyway, so this scenario lasted a long time, many, many, many hours. And so I started walking around, and I started conversing with people, and I started observing the place, and it was a very sturdy, built house, but it just seemed kind of dirty and old. It wasn't cluttery, like they had hardly nothing in the house. It wasn't cluttery at all, but it was very solid, sturdy, old house, and there was at least 2 to 3 bathrooms. I don't actually remember seeing like any bedrooms, which is kind of funny because we were all supposed to be staying there. But there was the 2, and like the aliens, they're obsessed with bathrooms because they're like perverts, you know what I mean? So basically, I was kind of in the middle of the house, and then there's kind of like a kitchen over here, and basically it was all, like all living room that I kept walking back and forth, like, oh yeah, and it seemed like the walls were kind of, well, in the bathroom, the wall was actually concrete, but some of the walls, or at least when I was walking around, the floor was definitely hardwood. I mean, really, really hardwood floor. The floors were hardwood floors. And no, the walls, I mean, I can't remember exactly, but the walls kind of seemed like wood as well, except for in the bathroom, that second bathroom, it was concrete. And so as I started kind of walking back and forth, I noticed I was walking, like through the living room, and I looked over to the left in the corner. There's this big corner. I would say the whole house was like at least, like 1,900 square feet. It was kind of big, but not real big. And so about 1,900 square feet. And over in the corner, yeah, the reason why I know it was wood, because I looked down and it was just kind of dirty. Like it was like a bunch of dust and crumbs and a little bit of trash, like little pieces of paper of trash and some torn up toys and stuff, like little plastic pieces. And it just was like, it was kind of unkempt. The whole house was just kind of unkempt, and it was very, very old, but very, very built, very sturdy. And it was just an area that needed to be, I was like, as I looked at it and I looked down at the floor, I was like, wow, this needs to be like swept up, you know what I mean? But I didn't tell the hostesses that. And okay, and then like the second part of the scenario, I walked down the living room, I walked over to the right, and there was a bathroom, pretty pretty big bathroom, right in the middle of the floor, or the middle of the house, kind of, it was just kind of in the middle of the house, over to the right of the living room, and because I had to go pee-pee, and so I went in there, and as far as I remember, it was just kind of gross, not real cluttery. It was just, I don't remember seeing a shower or anything. And the toilet was right in the middle of the toilet was in the middle of the bathroom. facing south. And so I walked, so the little boy, there was another boy walking around, but this, and I can't remember if I saw him really clearly. I don't think I just remember, it seemed like he had kind of short, dark hair. And I don't remember looking at his face really clearly or anything, but the second boy, I did. And so the second boy, so he was trying to follow me, and it was like he was the son of the hostess, you know, the man and woman, you know, of the bed and breakfast, except the alien didn't really tell me that it was a bed and breakfast. But that's basically what we were at. And so the boy was trying to follow me in there, and I'm like, okay, little boy, you know. So I held him by the hand, and over to the left was the swinging, like, doors. And so I told him, hey, you know, you gotta, like, get out of here because I want to do my business. And so I walked him out of the door, and yeah, the doors were just kind of like those weird doors you would see at a restaurant kitchen or something. You know, they just kind of swing, and that's all they do. They don't, like, latch or lock or anything. They just kind of swing. And it was like a dark gray door, you know, just kind of like I don't know, plastic rubbery-ish or whatever. And so anyway, so I walked him out, but he was kind of odd looking. He was bald, and he was kind of fat. He was kind of chubby, and he was bald. And it seemed like his shorts were kind of too little, and his top was too little. And I know why the aliens put that in here was because I had just watched King of Queens, and he was like raising up his stomach, you know, because he's really fat. That guy's kind of fat. And so that's why the aliens kind of put that in here with that boy being fat and like barely being able to fit into his shorts and his top. But his face was odd looking. He just seemed kind of almost like retarded. And his face looked like, he looked about maybe like 7 or 8, but his face looked like he was like, he looked like more mature than like a 7 or 8 year old. Like he was only about 7 or 8, but yet his face looked like almost like, I don't know, like semi-adult, like maybe like like 19 or 20 year old. Like he was very odd looking. And so I like took him by the hand, and I was like, you know, you need to get out of here. And I literally went over there and sat on the pot and tinkled at everything. And then I just kind of saw the door, and I was like, wow, well, this, you know, that was kind of bugging me, you know, because I didn't want people to walk in, you know, the door. But anyway, so the aliens, they're always kind of embarrassing you in the scenarios. So I was sitting on the toilet, and I was doing my business and everything, and then there was, like, I was tinkling and everything. I can't remember if I had because sometimes they can make you, like, pee, and it actually feels like you're peeing in the scenario, like virtual reality. This whole thing was virtual reality, but as far as I remember, I didn't actually pee virtual reality-wise. I could have and maybe don't remember. But anyway, I do remember I actually sat on the toilet and everything. And then when I looked over at the sink, there was like a little white sink, and it almost seemed like a sink you would see at like a dentist office or something. There was like a sink right there, and right there by the toilet. And I looked in the sink, and there was like a turd floating around. That's why I put turd. There's the ATM and the money, and there's the aliens that gave me the experience. Well, I don't know what they look like, but probably the flat-faced beings. But yeah, so I put aliens in there because I know they're the ones that gave me the experience. And then there's Germany, except they took me to the countryside, and I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, that's why I put turd in here. But anyway, so anyway, I finally got him like out of the bathroom and everything, and I actually sat on the toilet and everything and peed. So anyway, okay, so after that, you know, I started like walking around again in the living room and started talking to people and conversing and everything. And then and we started talking about like where we were going to eat and when we were going to leave the facility, the bed and breakfast, so to speak, and go eat and stuff. But we never actually left. The whole scenario, we never actually left the bed and breakfast. And but we were talking about like how when we were going to leave the facility and go eat, you know, the house, aka house, and go eat. And then the hostess, the female, she was walking around and she told us all, she's like, hey, I see a storm coming and it looks like tornadic, you know, kind of activity. She said she thinks there's like tornadoes coming. And the funny thing is, you know, when oh yeah, the aliens put that in here because David Icke was talking about, you know, the harp and tornadoes and stuff like that. You know, like the night before I got this experience, and so anyway, she said that she thinks there's a tornado coming, and so I went into I started walking around. Oh yeah, and then she said, yeah, she eventually said, you all may want to take cover, and that's when I was like, wow, you know. So that's when I walked past like the other bathroom towards the end of the house, past where I saw the little area that was kind of dirty. There was another bathroom over to the right, and I went into that other bathroom when she told me that, you know, that we may have to take cover, you know, because of the tornadic activity. And that's when I went into that second bathroom, and over to the left side of the wall was all concrete, and above was like all glass window. It wasn't just like small little window. It was like all glass all the way across. So it was like 3 or 3.5 feet of all white concrete, and then above that was just all window all the way across. It was like I was kind of standing there. It was like 10 feet. 10 feet of concrete and then 10 feet of window. And that's when I looked out the window and I looked up at the sky, and it didn't really seem tornadic to me. It didn't really look tornadic. But I know why the aliens put that in here, because what I had just like listened to about HAARP and stuff, how they can just create tornadoes out of nowhere, and actually the aliens got that as well, because from that movie that I just watched, you know, where it's like tornadic activity was coming. It was called Tornado Valley, but I didn't watch it because it looked stupid. But I only watched the first 5 minutes, and when, you know, I looked up at when they showed the sky, it didn't even look tornadic at first. So that's why the aliens put that in here, and because of what I heard about HAARP and stuff, what David Icke was saying about HAARP. And so when I was standing there next to the concrete in the bathroom, in that second bathroom, I looked over to my left out of the glass, out of the window, and I looked up at the sky, and like I say, it didn't really look very tornadic to me. And then I looked down, and that was the cool part. That's where I saw the huge forest and evergreen trees. And it looked pretty much just like that as I looked down. Because we were on a big old mountain, man. But I didn't really realize that until after I woke up. And there was these tall evergreen trees and this huge forest. And there was a road. I looked down, all the way down, and there was a road right up, you know, against the forest. And I remember thinking in my head, like, I wonder if I went jogging down there, if I went jogging up and down the road, would German people realize that I wasn't, you know, from there, that I was a foreign person. And I had those thoughts, but I never did actually go down there and go jogging. But I saw the road and everything, you know, down at the bottom, you know, of the hill or whatever, the mountain, I mean. And then as I looked down, you know, I could see the big old trees of the forest. I mean, it was a huge forest too. And the trees were huge. And so then I started having these thoughts like, well, you know, this is an old country. That's why the forest is so big and the trees are so tall and big, you know, because it was an old country. And those are all the thoughts that I had and stuff, but it was really cool looking at that forest and everything. Okay, so then I remember the woman saying that she was afraid, or that, well, I remember her saying that she wasn't sure if the glass would shatter or anything, because she said that she knew that the glass was sturdy and the whole house was sturdy. And she didn't really know if the glass would shatter or not, but she still told us all to like take cover, to duck and cover and to take cover. So, hey Simba. So anyway, but that was really cool with the forest and everything. And like I say, you know, at the time, you know, when I was under the scenario, I wasn't even thinking, wow, you know, we're on a big old mountain. I wasn't even thinking that till after I woke up and I realized, wow, you know, the house, this bed and breakfast was on a big old mountain. And so then, and by the way, it's kind of funny, but, you know, like when they took me to Romania, so to speak, when they, you know, created that experience for me, which I really wasn't in Romania, and I really wasn't in Russia, but they created that experiences for me. Like Russia, I don't know how they do it. I mean, the energy felt like Russia. When I was in Russia, the energy felt like Romania when I was in Romania. And, but it's kind of funny. This experience, I can't exactly say that it felt like Germany. I guess maybe because we were in the countryside, but it definitely did not feel like America. It did not feel like Russia. It did not feel like Romania. I mean, it was Germany, but I can't exactly say that it felt like Germany. And I think because the aliens just didn't create it like that, but it definitely felt like a foreign country. It did not feel like America. And, but yeah, I guess it's just how the aliens didn't program that part very well. But yeah, like they already programmed me, you know, very clearly. They already programmed it very clearly. Like when they popped me in the scenario, like bam, I knew I was in Germany. It's just that they didn't program the energy very well, because they only programmed the energy to feel like a foreign country. They didn't program it to feel like Germany. So that was kind of funny, even though I knew I was in Germany. But we stayed in the countryside, of course. And anyway, so the last part of the scenario, you know, so when she told us to still take cover and everything, I went ahead and laid down up against the wall, the concrete wall. And of course, in real life, I wouldn't have done that, because in real life, you're supposed to go to the middle of the house. But in the scenario, I laid down on my back, and you know, right out to the side was the concrete wall. And then, like, here comes all the virtual reality part. Well, the whole scenario was virtual reality, but this part was really virtual reality. Okay, so then a tornado came and basically hit us, and I could feel the whole bathroom like shaking. And you're not gonna believe what happened next. The glass shattered. The whole glass just shattered. And the funny thing is, I don't remember any glass falling on me. But the whole glass like freaking shattered. And it was like all shaking. I mean, the tornado freaking hit us, basically. It totally hit us. And it was shaking. The whole bathroom was shaking. And the glass like completely shattered. And that's not the first time they've done that either. Why, you know, I guess Joel could have actually given me this experience. I don't know, but he could have, because he gave me that one experience where I took the glass in my grandma's house and I threw it down and it shattered. So that's kind of a pattern there. So he could have gave me this experience. I'm not sure. I mean, he doesn't always do perverted things, except the turd thing was kind of perverted, you know. But yeah, so then after it shattered, I was like, wow. I was like scared to like go tell the hostess that the glass broke in the bathroom. I was kind of scared to tell her that, because she was already assuming that it wouldn't shatter, it wouldn't break. You know, because, you know, these houses built in these foreign countries, they're built very, very solid. They're like 1,400 years old. They're built very solid, you know. But anyway, that part's kind of funny, but being way up on a mountain like that, would a tornado even, I don't even know if a tornado would hit way up on a mountain like that. But it was freaking, I don't even know if they have tornadoes in Germany at all. Like, I don't know. But this was a fun experience. It was pretty cool. This one was a million times better than the ATM one. But they both were like OBE-vr lucid dreams. They didn't feel like 3D. The ATM one maybe felt a little bit like 3D, but it still felt very much like a different dimension as well. But this one was freaking awesome, man, because they haven't really given me one like this to a blatant country or whatever in a long time, seems like. So, yeah, I'm going to ask him, okay, so, and I'm going to start writing it down, too, because sometimes I'll be like, you know, take me to Egypt, and then it'll be like, you know, 60 days later, like, they'll take me to Egypt or whatever, and I'm thinking, you know, didn't I just ask for that experience? But I knew it would be like 4 or 5, you know, like weeks ago or whatever that I asked for this experience. But yeah, this one I asked for it and I got it within 24 hours, actually within 12 hours. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I totally remembered everything I said, I think, because this is the second time I did this dang video. But yeah, it's my OBE-vr by aliens to the ATM machine in Germany. And that was yesterday morning, January 16th. Well, I did the first video yesterday, but I had to redo it. Oh yeah, see, there's the tornado. When you look at it like that, you can't see the tornado. All you see is that white glob. It's illusion. See, now you see the tornado. And that's just part of the forest, but this is the one that's more accurate. That's what it looks like right when I look down at these big, huge evergreen trees. It was so cool. And that's the ATM machine and the $20 bills. But anyway, it was a fun experience. Well, thanks for listening. And then, let's see, tonight, what should I ask for tonight? I don't know, I'm just gonna think of something random. Well, I keep telling them to take me to, like, Montana. They haven't taken me to Montana yet, or Maine. Because, you know, I've been thinking about Maine a lot. Or, I mean, not lately, but Maine. And then I had Montana on the brain a lot, you know. Because I have a friend that lives there. And then I've had Maine on the brain because my uncle, you know, like, went there every year and stuff. So anyway, I'll ask them to take me to Maine or Montana. And I'll see if I'll get it in the morning. Well, thanks for listening.